Hi, everyone. Today, 3 points I will mention. First, I will make a comment about what happened with Russia, Putin, and China. And then I will also mention a little bit the story of Tesla. Maybe many of you get interested. And then finally, I will share with you a little bit more about my life. So first, Putin. Recently there was two parallel military activity. One is China moving first time his aircraft carrier into South China Sea, and in the same time, the same period of time, Putin has moved, I think, 15,000 soldiers to the border of Ukraine, and many commentator, they speculate, this is a kind of secret cooperation between Russia and China, to make trouble with the free world, with the Western world, by moving military in the same time. But maybe you guys remember, I have made a couple of times comment about the Russia-Chinese relationship. I say Putin's Russia will never be a true ally of Chinese Communist Party, because Putin, as a former KGB boss, he knows too well that he cannot trust Chinese Communist Party, because he must know already as early as in the 70s, in the time of Mao Zedong, Chinese Communist Party betrayed the Communist Soviet by secretly to cooperate with America at that time, to allow, for example, America to build huge spying station at the border between Russia and China to spy on Soviet Union, secretly. And that is not because the Chinese communists want to make trouble with the Soviet communists. No. They want to, at that time, to flirt with America, to get the trust from America. So America stop, so to say, containing China and let Chinese Communist Party to become, World Trade Organization member and all this stuff, as I mentioned before. For their own interest, the Chinese Communists never hesitate to betray anyone. They need to betray, okay? And Putin knows that. So that's why I say Putin will only be nice and act as if he is allied to China as long as CCP keep buying a lot of oil and gas from Russia. The same day they don't have money to buy anymore, you can forget about any alliance between them, not even friendship. The Russian knows too well that they cannot trust their former communist brother. Although in the South China Sea, China is still stepping up with their military pressure, informal military exercise, and Putin suddenly withdraw his army from Ukraine. You see, and left CCP totally alone there. This is politics. Now, another politics I want to mention is the story of Tesla. Everybody knows who Tesla is. The electric car manufacturer, right? And Tesla, the founder of Tesla, I think it's called Elon Musk, he targeted China as a potential huge market. So for 3 years ago, he set up his factory in Shanghai, and he was totally welcome. Really, the CCP was giving him all sorts of advantages, pay less tax, and he even got a land free of charge from the city of Shanghai to build his factory. Why CCP was so nice? Well, I can tell you, this is almost a rule. I can say it from my own experience. When CCP is nice to you, it means they want to get something from you. That's the only reason. So the same thing, they wanted to get something from Tesla. What? Well, the technology. Because Chinese Communist Party has a strategy. already years ago that they noticed they cannot manage to compete with the West in conventional cars. So they decide not to spend money to try to make a Chinese-made conventional car better than the West. They skip that generation and go everything for electric car. Exactly the same thing they did with the telecommunication. Go straight to 5G. Forget 3G, 4G. Yeah? So, but for that, they need the know-how. And Tesla is the leading company of the world when they come to know-how to build electric car. And that's the whole reason. They let them build that. And, of course, all the people who work in, almost all the Chinese who work in this company will you can be sure, were asked to learn how to build an electric car. And because of the low level of morality, the learning can also be illegal learning. That means stealing technology. Now they have stolen whatever they could steal and have learned whatever they could learn, so they don't need Tesla anymore. So suddenly, just because once accident that suppose a Tesla car, the brake was not functioning, all the media in China, they're all controlled by the party. They started a campaign to black paint Tesla. So now they don't mind Tesla to go because they don't want to share the market, the huge Chinese market with Tesla. They want to keep it for themselves. So, talking about Tesla, it reminds me about my own experience with CCP. Because I have experienced similar things. Of course, not in the same scale as Tesla. I was never a big guy like Tesla, yeah? But from the principle, it's the same. When they wanted something from me, they were so nice to me. When they found out that they could not get anything more from me or anything at all, then they kicked me, yeah? So this is CCP. We have to remember when you do business with CCP. And remember, when you do business with Chinese company, it's always the same thing as doing business with CCP, because all companies are controlled by CCP. So this is something you need to remember, okay? Now, so I associate to my own life because, as I said, I have similar experience as Tesla. So, and also because several viewers in the past has asked me in their comments if I could tell them, if I can share with them more about my life. Some say, who are you actually? Some say, well, please, it would be nice to hear your biography. And other people say, please share more with about your life. So today I spent a few minutes for that. Some of you may know I was born in Hong Kong, okay? I was born right after the Second World War, a few years after the Second World War. And then when I was 18 years old, I moved to Sweden, okay? Now, what is special with my childhood, maybe, I remember my mother used to blame me not to read school books so much, but read a lot of other books, and particularly newspapers. So for some reason, since I could read, yeah, I read every day the newspaper from page 1 to last page, from first word to last word, every day, met for hours. So my mother was screaming to me, you have to read, study, or you are going to have examination and so on. Yeah. Okay, but that is how it was. And then I moved to Sweden. I studied electronics, or electrical engineering is the base, and I specialized later in automation, And then I started working for a huge company, yeah, one of the 4 leading company in electrical engineering and automation and energy technology and so on. So I spent the first 10, 11 years in the area of automating industries, okay, industrial automation, heavy industrial automation. And then I moved to another company, to a company in Germany. Yeah, they hunted me actually from Sweden to Germany, and then I worked 10 years on automation of manufacturing industry, and then I was hunted back by my original company in electrical engineering. As I said, one of the 4 biggest leading in size and technology. And then I started working on automation of power system, energy, electric power. So and interesting, because I work with this kind of technology, so I came into contact with China very early. My first, so to say, business contact with China was in the 70s, end of 70s, 78, 79, yeah? China started to import things from the West. I was still in Sweden then. So that was my first contact. The first time I was in China was 79, yeah, but 78 the customer came to Sweden, yeah, and being the first company who managed to install the fully automatic system for the energy supply in the whole province, in the province of Hubei. Yeah? So anyway, that's how it started. And then later, when I moved to Germany, as I said, I came back to this electrical engineering company. Then I became vice president for a business unit in marketing and sales for this kind of energy project, infrastructure project. Then I started intensive contact with the Chinese market. I was actually responsible for basically the global market, but because I'm originally Chinese, I speak Chinese and so on, I know Chinese culture, Chinese history, so I spend, of course, more time for the Chinese market. And also because I started, say, in the middle of 90, at that time, everybody talking about the new emerging market of China. So of course, I spent a lot of time. But that was very interesting because I got a lot of insight in the Chinese society. When you deal with huge infrastructure project, you are always dealing with the state of China, yeah? Because in China, all power companies at that time, but even today, are all run by the state, yeah? And they are actually not even a company, they are like a department of the power energy ministry. So I got a lot of insight into the Chinese political system and also how the Chinese communist bosses, how they think, how they behave, and so on. And in the beginning, when my first contact, it was in 79, yeah? So I thought, like many other people were thinking, because the communists was telling the world that they are going to reform, they're going to open up. So I was happy. Well, they give you the impression that they are moving in the direction getting more freedom, more human rights, more democracy. So I'm more than happy to support them to move that direction. But unfortunately, my experience showed that it was a total disappointment. And the big disappointment came when it was 1989, after the massacre in Tiananmen Square. And for me, no one can convince me that they haven't done a huge atrocity. So I start to question this regime. And also I started to work on defending human rights in China. So I think a few years later, year 2000, I became an activist and also a board member of Germany's biggest human rights organization called International Society for Human Rights. And since then, I work more and more for human rights. And then I noticed that it was not just they were killing their own people. In the case of Tiananmen Square, they were actually persecuting all sorts of groups, faith group, like the Tibetan Buddhists, like the Falun Gong practitioner, also a faith group. They also have a common belief. And the Uyghurs are also a faith group, and the Christian, and also others, people like human rights lawyers and democracy movement and so on. So I was more and more convinced that this regime is so deceiving, so deceptive, yeah, and so evil. So I just can't accept it. So I don't fight, but I work for human rights, and for that, they hate me, okay? So since 2003, I never go to China anymore because they threaten me to death. Yeah, but I'm still surviving. Yeah, so the more they threaten me, the more I take it as a confirmation what I have been doing is the right things. Yeah, and I think our world need more people to speak out for the voiceless. Yeah, there are a lot of persecuted people in China. They are voiceless, and we have to speak out for them. So, well, if you like this episode, don't forget to click like and also to subscribe and check your subscription. By the way, we have found out that YouTube, for some reason, has been reducing our channel's number of view hours. You know, it used to be already for half a year ago 2,300 hours, and now it became 1,000. Can you imagine? It's accumulated number of hours. Actually, it must be growing and growing. Either grows quick or goes slow. In the worst case, can only stagnate. But now it goes down. How? How can they take your sight back? You know, you have been watching it, and they take your watching back. So please support us also through Patreon and PayPal. Thank you for today, and see you next time.